All right, everybody, today we're diving into Supplementation 101, and I'm going to talk about the stack that I actually take because I get this question all the time. But before we dive in, I want to be clear that I am not a doctor. I'm sharing what I personally take and what I recommend to my clients based on research and personal experience. But supplements impact everybody differently, and you might have different interactions, allergies, sensitivities, or underlying health conditions that make certain supplements not right for you. So if you're on medications, if you're pregnant, nursing, or have any health concerns, talk to your doctor before adding any supplements into your routine. On top of that, let's just dive into it. Let's talk about the truth about supplements. I need to say this first and foremost, is that supplements are not the foundation. I don't care how good your supplement stack is. If you're not doing the fundamentals consistently, then your supplements might just come out as expensive pee. And the foundations are lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week, sleeping well 6+ hours a day, walking at least 7,000 steps a day, and eating whole foods 80% of the time, hitting your protein goal and your fiber goals, and managing your stress and cortisol levels. Those should be the non-negotiables. Supplements are a cherry on top. So if you're not doing those other things consistently, I wouldn't bother with the supplements yet. You need to focus on your foundations first, because I've seen women and men who take every supplement under the sun, but they're only sleeping 5 hours a night, or they're not strength training, they're eating processed food all the time, and the supplements don't do anything for them because of that. So supplements, again, are just the cherry on top of a solid foundation, not the foundation itself. So if you're listening to this and thinking, I'm going to start taking supplements to fix my health, you have to pump the brakes and start with the fundamentals first, get those locked in, be consistent for at least 30 days. Then we can talk about supplements. Because once you have the foundation, once you're lifting, sleeping, eating well, moving, then the supplements become a legitimate tool to optimize your results. Got it? Good. So now let's talk about the actual supplement stacks. So the stacks that we're going to talk about today are going to be creatine, omega-3s, vitamin D3 with K2, magnesium, and collagen. And I've been taking all 5 of these supplements for at least 3 years consistently. And I'm not going to tell you that supplements are magic, but I will tell you that this stack has measurably improved my energy, my recovery, my sleep, my mood, my strength, and my overall health. And it's not because of any one supplement, but it's about how they work together in my body at this stage of life and with my goals. So I'm going to break each one down, what it does, why it matters for men and women, and how it works, and also the timeline that you can expect to see results potentially. So the first supplement that we're going to talk about is creatine, and I consider this a very misunderstood powerhouse. There's so much misinformation about this supplement out there, and I need to clear it up. First off, creatine is a compound that your body naturally produces in your liver, kidneys, and pancreas. It's stored in your muscles and used to produce energy during high intensity exercise. So supplementing with creatine increases the amount of creatine stored in your muscles, which means more energy for more reps and more strength in your workouts. Now, as far as dosage goes, most research recommends 5 grams per day, and that's a solid dose. It works and it's effective. I personally take 10 grams per day, and here's why. The research shows that 10 grams is just as safe as 5 grams, and the benefits are more pronounced, not just for muscle strength, but for neurological function as well. So we're going to dive into the mechanism and how creatine works. When you take creatine, it increases phosphocreatine levels in your muscle, and phosphocreatine is used to produce ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. That's the energy currency that your cells use. So the more phosphocreatine means the more ATP in your body, and that means the more energy you have for your workouts. So that means you can do more reps, you could lift heavier, you can run faster, you recover faster between sets. But the part that most people don't know is that creatine also supports your brain in a really powerful way. So your brain uses about 20% of your body's energy, and creatine supports that ATP production in your neurons. And I know that sounds really sciencey, but what it means is you can have better focus, better mental clarity, improved mood. Research actually shows that creatine can help with depression and anxiety. It also improves memory, cognitive function, and it could reduce mental fatigue. So if you come from a family that tends to struggle with dementia or Alzheimer's disease, I would recommend taking 10 grams of creatine a day to potentially prevent those declines later. So creatine is not just a muscle building supplement, it's a neurological supplement. And that's why I take 10 grams instead of 5, because I want both the muscle benefits and the brain benefits. There are a lot of myths around creatine, so we're going to also dive into that. Myth number 1 is that creatine damages your kidneys. And it is just a myth. It's completely false. Decades of research, and literally decades, show that creatine supplementation does not damage your kidneys in healthy individuals. Your kidneys filter waste products, and creatine is one of those waste products. And yes, when you take creatine, your creatinine levels go up, but that doesn't mean your kidneys are damaged. It just means that there's more creatine to filter. So if you have pre-existing kidney disease, then yes, talk to your doctor. But for healthy people with no kidney problems, creatine is safe. So studies show that people taking creatine for 5+ years have no kidney issues whatsoever. So you can stop believing that myth because it's not real. Myth number 2 is that creatine causes a lot of bloating and causes you to hold a lot of water weight. And this one is half true and half false. So creatine does cause water retention, but not the way that you'd think. It pulls water into your muscle cells. That's intramuscular water, which actually makes your muscles look fuller, more defined, not just make your body look puffy. So if you take creatine and suddenly your muscles look more pumped, that's the water being pulled into the muscles, and that's a good thing. The only time creatine causes bloating is if you're dehydrated, because creatine pulls water into your muscles. So if you're not drinking enough water to compensate, you can become dehydrated, which causes bloating in your stomach. Which brings me to the most important thing you need to know about creatine. You have to drink enough water. This is non-negotiable. When you take creatine, you need to be drinking at least a 1/2 gallon to 1 gallon of water per day, because creatine pulls water into your muscles. So if you're not replacing that water, your body doesn't have enough fluid to function properly. That can lead to dehydration, muscle cramps, headaches, reduced workout performance, and bloating. So if you're going to take creatine, you have to commit to hydrating like your life depends on it. No exceptions. Now let's talk dosing and timing of creatine. So I take 10 grams per day. You can take 5 grams and be fine, but I recommend 10, again, if you want the neurological and muscular benefits. Timing doesn't matter. You can take it any time of day. It's not like post-workout makes it more efficient. You just have to take it consistently every single day. So I take mine sometime in the morning. I typically mix it in with some sort of electrolyte drink. Other people prefer to drink it at the gym after their workout. So it's really completely up to you. But again, it's about consistency. So the thing about creatine is you do not get results if you just take it once a week. Creatine builds up in your system over time, and it typically takes 2 to 4 weeks before you start to notice significant improvements to your strength, mood, and energy. And the benefits only continue if you keep taking it. So if you start creatine, you have to commit to it for at least 4 weeks to decide if it's working for you. The next supplement we're going to talk about is omega-3s, and omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. So what is it? Omega-3 fatty acids are essential nutrients that your body cannot produce on its own. You have to get them from food or supplementation. And there are 3 types of omega-3s. There's ALA, which is found in plant sources like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. And then there's EPA and DHA, which are found in fatty fishes like salmon, mackerel, sardines, and algae. So EPA and DHA are the most bioavailable, which means that your body absorbs it and uses it most effectively. Let's talk about how omega-3s work. So omega-3s reduce inflammation throughout your body. So your body produces inflammatory molecules called cytokines and prostaglandins. Omega-3s inhibit the production of these inflammatory molecules. That means less systematic inflammation in your body, better joint health, improved cardiovascular function, better brain health, and improved insulin sensitivity. And that last one is important because high omega-3 levels are associated with better insulin sensitivity, which means your body uses glucose more efficiently and you're less likely to develop insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. Now here's the thing, if you're eating fatty fish regularly, you might not need to supplement. Good food sources of omega-3s are salmon, mackerel, sardines, herrings, anchovies, and trout. But if we're being honest, most people aren't eating those enough. If you're eating any of those fishes 2 to 3 times per week, you're probably getting enough omega-3s from food. But if you're not, or if you're vegetarian or vegan, then supplementation makes sense. I take 250 to 500 milligrams of omega-3s daily, depending on how much fish I'm eating. And you can supplement up to 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day. If you find that you're somebody who struggles with a lot of inflammation, going towards the higher end of the dose might be more beneficial for you. I don't personally struggle with a lot of inflammation though. So taking omega-3s with food is better for absorption. So I take mine after I eat breakfast. You need to take them for at least 2 to 4 weeks before you can notice any reduction in inflammation or improved joint health. Some people notice mood mood improvements and brain fog going away within that first 1 to 2 weeks though. Now, vitamin D3 with K2 is not just about our bones. Most people think vitamin D is only for bone health because us being raised like, drink vitamin D milk, it's good for your bones. But that's like 5% of what it actually does. So vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that your body produces when it's exposed to sunlight. But most people don't get enough sun exposure, especially if you work indoors, you're living in a northern climate, or you wear sunscreen all the time. So vitamin D receptors are found on almost every cell in our body. That means vitamin D affects our bone health. It works with calcium to build strong bones. It works for immune function. It regulates our immune system so we don't get sick as often. It impacts our mood and mental health. Low vitamin D is linked to depression and seasonal affective disorder. It's linked to muscle function. It supports muscle strength and recovery. Our cardiovascular health. It supports heart function and blood pressure. Hormonal regulation. It affects estrogen, testosterone, and other hormones in our body. So vitamin D does way more than just keep our bones strong. And we pair it with K2 because vitamin D3 tells your body to absorb calcium, but without K2, that calcium can end up in your arteries and soft tissue instead of your bones. So you should never just be taking vitamin D3 by itself. You should always be pairing it with K2 to make sure that the calcium goes where it's supposed to. Vitamin K2 tells proteins to direct that calcium to your bones and teeth and away from your arteries. So again, D3 without K2 can be problematic long term, but D3 with K2 can create optimal bone and cardiovascular health. And that's why you should always pair them together. I personally take a 5,000 IU of vitamin D paired with 100 mcgs of K2 daily. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. The standard recommendation from doctors is typically 600 to 800 IU per day, but research says that you could take upwards of 2,000 to 4,000 IUs for most optimal health. Again, I take 5,000 IU because I want the maximum benefits for bone health, immune support, mood support, muscle function. Also, for the last 7 years when I was living in Idaho, I was very D deficient because I wasn't in the sun a lot. Now that I live in Arizona, I could probably bring my supplementation down on this because I am in the sun more, but I definitely notice it when I am in gloomy climates or on cloudy days. So I would recommend taking this with a fat-containing meal for best absorption. So I pair this with my vitamins after my breakfast. Vitamin D takes longer to show significant benefits because it has to build up in your system. So 4 to 8 weeks typically before you notice anything in your mood, energy, or immune function. But obviously bone improvement can take months or years, but that's okay. You're building something that lasts. Now we're going to talk about magnesium, which is one of my favorite supplements because it helps with sleep and stress support. So here's a statistic that will shock people. 70% of Americans are magnesium deficient. 7 out of 10 people. And most of them have no idea. So modern soil is depleted of magnesium because of the way that we farm. So the foods that we eat have less magnesium than they used to. Plus you add in stress, alcohol, caffeine, and certain medications, and they deplete magnesium stores in your body. So you're getting less from food and your body is burning through what you do have. So let's talk about how magnesium works. Magnesium is involved in over 600 reactions in your body. It's essential for sleep quality. It helps calm your nervous system and promotes deep sleep. Stress management. Magnesium reduces our cortisol and anxiety. Muscle recovery. It supports muscle repair and reduces soreness. Blood sugar regulation. It improves our insulin sensitivity. Bone health. It works with calcium for strong bones. And heart health. It actually regulates heart rhythm and blood pressure. So magnesium deficiency doesn't just mean bad sleep. It means elevated stress, poor recovery, blood sugar deregulation, weak bones, and cardiovascular issues. So I personally take 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium a day, and that is on the higher end, but I also work out intensely and I have a pretty high stress lifestyle when it comes to work and physical activity. So I take more. Most people would benefit from 200 to 400 milligrams depending on their body weight and activity levels, but it is important to take magnesium glycinate before bed because magnesium calms your nervous system. You want that effect when you're trying to sleep, not in the middle of the day. So I take mine about 30 minutes to 60 minutes before bed. You don't have to take it on a full stomach. It won't affect that. Now, as far as the results go, most people notice better sleep within 3 to 7 days of starting magnesium. Some people will take it day 1 and notice better sleep. And honestly, stress reduction and improved recovery can take about 1 to 2 weeks of consistency. All right, now we're going to talk about collagen, which a lot of people consider like the beauty and joint supplement. But collagen is the most abundant protein in your body, and it makes up your skin, skin, hair, nails, joints, tendons, and connective tissues. But collagen production decreases as you age. So by the time you're 25, you're producing less collagen than you were at 20, and it gets worse from there. So the way collagen works, when you consume collagen peptides, your digestive system breaks them down into amino acids. Your body uses these amino acids to synthesize new collagen in your skin, joints, hair, and nails. So you're literally giving your body the building blocks to rebuild collagen. So the benefits are skin health. It improves elasticity, reduces wrinkles, and improves hydration. Hair and nails. It makes your hair and nails stronger, healthier, and faster growing. Joint health reduces joint pain, supports cartilage repair, improves mobility. Gut health seals the gut lining and supports digestion. Bone health, collagen makes up the structural matrix of our bones. So I take 10 to 11 grams of collagen per day, and that's dependent on which kind I'm taking. Research shows that 10 grams is the effective dose for seeing benefits. So I personally put my collagen in my coffee in the morning to start my day so that I have those 10 grams of protein to start bringing my cortisol down. I wake up at 4 a.m., so by 4:30, I'm not ready to eat a whole breakfast. So I put my collagen in my coffee, drink that, and then I have breakfast at 6 a.m. with my kids. So I use both bovine and marine collagen. They have slightly different amino acid profiles, so using both gives you a more complete spectrum of collagen types. And collagen takes longer to see the effects because you're literally rebuilding tissue. But most of my clients will say that they start seeing improvement in their nails first. So hair and nail improvements typically start between 4 and 8 weeks. Skin improvements start weeks 6 through 12. Joint improvements can start to be seen around weeks 4 through 8. But here's the thing, you have to be consistent. This isn't something where you take it for 2 weeks and then you stop. You need to be taking it daily for at least 3 months to see consistent results. So those are the 5 things that I stack as my supplements, but I will say this, I do take a multivitamin every day, and that should be the thing that anybody starts with before they start adding additional supplements on top. So I just wanted to touch on this. So I personally take a methylated multivitamin, and I take that because I have the MTHFR gene mutation. And that's not as scary as it sounds, but what it means is that the MTHFR gene produces an enzyme that converts folate into its active form of methylfolate. So if you have certain mutations in this gene, your body doesn't convert folate efficiently. So a lot of people have this mutation but don't know it. And if you have this mutation and you're taking regular non-methylated B vitamins and folic acid, your body might not be absorbing them properly. So even though you're supplementing, you're not actually getting the benefits. So the solutions are one of 2 things. You can get blood work done and check if you have the mutation, or you can just switch to a methylated supplement. That way you know that regardless, you're getting a form that your body can use. So I got the blood work done, figured out I had the genes, swapped over to methylated vitamins. Not everyone does, but the methylated vitamins won't hurt you if you don't have the mutation. So if you're going to take a multivitamin, I would recommend going methylated. It's a small upgrade that makes a big difference. But I would always say that a multivitamin should be the foundational supplement you take, and then all of these other 5 I talked about today should be the ones that you stack after based on your symptoms and what you want to most address. So I'm going to talk about how these all work together, and it's a compounding effect. So creatine alone is going to give you better strength, better mood, better focus. If you pair creatine and omega-3s, you're going to also reduce inflammation in your body and have better insulin sensitivity. Then if you add vitamin D3K2, you're going to have stronger bones, stronger immune system, and better hormonal regulation. If you add magnesium on top of that, you'll increase your sleep quality, less stress, and better recovery. Then if you pair collagen with all of that, you're going to have healthier skin, stronger hair, and nails, and better joint health. So each supplement does something specific, and when you stack them together, they amplify the other's effects. So it's not just additive, it multiplies the effects long term. And again, we have to be realistic about results. These aren't a magic bullet, and they don't work for everybody. So week 1 or 2, you probably won't notice much. Your body's just adjusting. Weeks 3 and 4, your energy improves, your mood starts to improve, your sleep might be better, especially if you're taking the magnesium. Month 2 and 3, you're going to notice strength gains in the gym, better recovery, your skin will look better, hair and nails will be stronger. Months 4 through 6, inflammation will noticeably reduce, joint pain will decrease, your skin will look healthier, and you'll be significantly stronger as long as you're lifting heavier. Your sleep will probably be a lot deeper. Months 6 through 12, long-term benefits show up. This is where you're going to start to see bone density improvements, skin texture will be noticeably better, probably thicker hair, stronger nails, your energy baseline will be higher, and your mood will be more stable. But again, here's the catch. This only happens if you're consistent. If you take supplements for 2 weeks and then you stop, you're not going to see results. So you have to commit to at least 30 days, ideally 90, before you can fairly evaluate whether or not something is working for you. And then you keep going if it is, because the benefits compound over time. And I want to just myth bust a few things before we wrap up. I hear a lot of people say supplements are a waste of money, and that's false. Research-backed supplements have measurable benefits, but only if you're doing the fundamentals first: lifting, sleeping, eating well. People will think creatine is dangerous, and that is false. Decades of research show that creatine is safe for healthy people. People will think creatine makes you bloated, and that's partially false. It does pull water into your muscles, which is good, so your weight might increase when you start taking it, but it only causes bloating if you're dehydrated, so you need to drink more water if you take it. People also think you need to go in a loading phase of creatine. In most bottles of it, people also think you need to go in a loading phase of creatine. A lot of creatine supplements will say load for 5 to 7 days, and that's false. The loading phases are not necessary. Just take the 5 to 10 grams a day consistently moving forward. A lot of people think that supplements can replace good nutrition, and this is absolutely false, and I want to drive this home. You still need to eat whole foods. You need to hit your protein and your fiber goals, sleep well, and train hard. Supplements optimize an already solid foundation, so focus on that first. A lot of people think more supplements equal better results, and this is false. You do not need 15 different supplements. Start with a multivitamin, then build strategically. Where do you start? Here's the priority I would give you if it was my recommendation. Again, the foundation is going to be a methylated multivitamin. Start here. Every single person should have a solid multivitamin covering the basics. If you can't be consistent with a multivitamin, don't add anything else yet. Tier 2, add these when you're ready, are going to be creatine and vitamin D. These two have the most research backing them and the most benefits. Tier 3 is going to be optimizing sleep and recovery, so adding in magnesium. So once you're consistent with the first 2 tiers, magnesium before bed can definitely help with stress and sleep. Tier 4 is going to be reducing inflammation, so omega-3s if you're not eating fish regularly. And then tier 5 is going to be collagen. So this is the cherry on top, not essential, but if you want healthier skin, hair, nails, and joints, that's going to be of great benefit. So important reminders: consistency is everything. You can't take supplements for 2 weeks or every couple days and then stop for a couple weeks and expect results. You have to take them every single day for at least 90 days before you evaluate if it's working. We have to focus on foundations first. Supplements amplify an already solid foundation. They don't replace it. So make sure that you're eating well first. Quality does matter. Make sure you're buying from reputable brands. Look for third-party testing to make sure that you're getting what you pay for. Listen to your body. If a supplement makes you feel worse, headaches, nausea, digestive issues, then stop taking it or talk to your doctor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link the brands in the description of this episode so you know which ones I recommend. Also, if you go over to my Instagram and you comment the word stack in any of the comments on a post, I'll send you the full list of my favorite supplements with the links so that you could see what I'm getting if you need any recommendation. The bottom line is, supplements are tools. They're not magic. They don't replace hard work, consistency, good sleep, or whole food nutrition. But when you have the foundation locked in, when you're lifting, sleeping, eating well, moving daily, hydrating, then supplements can become a legitimate way to optimize your results. So this stack has genuinely improved my energy, my strength, my recovery, my sleep, my mood, and I think my longevity. And I'm confident that if you commit to the fundamentals first and then add these supplements consistently, you'll see measurable improvements too, but only if you're willing to be consistent.